Hello, Miss Alves. So today I'll present to you my chapter 14, 15, and 16 for my final project. So in chapter 14, Managing Communication, I'm going to talk about communication and perception. Communication is the process of transmitting information from one person to another, while perception is the process by which individuals attempt to organize, interpret, and retain information from their environment. So here is the basic perception process. So first of all, there's the stimulus, which is information. People, it will gather the attention of people. They will then use their own knowledge to organize this information and have a first idea. They will then interpret this information, and then they will have a retention of an idea, which will create a perception. So these are the perceptual filters. They change from their personality, psychology, or experience-based differences that influence them to ignore or pay attention to particular stimuli. There's also the selective perception and closure. Selective perception is a tendency to only notice and accept objects and information consistent with our values and beliefs. And the closure, it is when you're filling out missing information from a story by the information that you already know about it. Next, there's the perception of others with the attribution theory. We all have a basic need to understand and explain the causes of other people's behavior. We tend to go into the other people skin, and sometimes we don't really understand this person. So you must be careful when doing so. As for the self-perception, there's internal and external causes. The internal causes is overestimating our value by attributing successes to ourselves. External causes are attributing failures to others in the environment. Here are the four kinds of communication. So first of all, the formal communication channel. There's the downward, the upward, and horizontal communication. The downward is from the top managers to the lower levels of the organization. Upward communication is from the lower levels of the organization to the top manager. And the horizontal communication is from managers and workers that are at the same organizational level. Informational communication channel, they are sometimes called the grapevine, the transmission of the messages from employee to employee outside the formal communication channels. So they can use a messenger group chat, or they can chit chat at the water fountain. They can have a coffee on one-on-one at Starbucks. So this is just the normal chit chat in a work environment. One-on-one communication, there's coaching, mentoring, and counseling. Coaching, it is when you try to improve job performance. Mentoring, it is when you try to just give your knowledge about life or about the job. It is knowledge transfer. And counseling, it is when you're talking to someone about a non-job related issue that could affect the job. And now for the nonverbal communication, the message can be transmitted nonverbally by body language and tone pitch. So this is how it can be viewed at. Next, for listening, it is very, very important in life to listen more than talk. So first of all, there's hearing, which is the act or process of just perceiving the sound, whereas listening, it is when you're making a conscious effort to hear. There's active and empathetic listening. So active, it is when you're giving feedback to the person when he's speaking. You give non-judgmental feedback, and you show how accurately you heard that person and what she said or he said. Empathetic listening is when you're trying to give your own perspective on the speaker's perspective. You try to get in his skin and his boots, and try to have empathy to this person. Here is the active listening. You don't talk, you listen, pay attention, keep an open mind, ask questions, provide feedback. This is how you can be an active listener. There is destructive and constructive feedback. Destructive feedback is a feedback that disapproves without any intention of being helpful, and almost always causes a negative or defensive reaction in the recipient. Constructive feedback, it is a feedback intended to be helpful, corrective, and or encouraging. So here we can see that only 29% of first-level managers feel that their companies encourage employees to have a voice, while another study of 22 companies found that 70% of people were afraid to speak up about problems they knew existed at work. So here are the three different silence you can have in an organization: the rationalize, evasive, and playing dumb. And here are all the social media platforms. I went into it in my other video on chapter 14. So for chapter 15, we're talking about control. Control is a regulatory process of establishing standards to achieve organizational goals, comparing actual performance to the standards, and taking corrective action when necessary. So standards is a basis of comparison for measuring the extent to which organizational performance is satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And then there's benchmarking, which is the process of determining how well other companies, though not just competitors, perform business function or tasks. The process of determining other company standards. So the control is just how well you can control your business. Standards are they can be leveled with either the Standard Council of Canada, the International Organization for Standardization, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Global Gap, and Canada Gap. So these are the standards how you your business should operate for this type of industry. It is a way for you to communicate how between each business throughout the world which standard is the best and the most efficient. So you can compare yourself with these standards using benchmarking. So here are the steps. You establish the standards, compare them, you take corrective action if needed. Dynamic cybernetic process, there's the setting control method, and then it can lead to control loss. So the comparison of standards, there's the actual performance and the performance standards. So here is the measurement and information systems. They are both extremity, and you want your actual performance to be the nearest to the performance standards. When it is so, well, you have a very successful business. Next, for the cybernetic control process, well, you need to establish a standard, then you measure the performance, compare to the standards, identify the deviations, and then create and deploy corrective programs. As for control methods, there's the bureaucratic. It is when you're giving rewards or you need to punish employees to have better control. Objective, you're just giving an assessment to yourself about the employees, which one are working better, which one are not, what you could do to improve the effectiveness in the office. Normative, it is when you look at if the employees are respecting the organizational values and goals. As for conservative, well, it is when the employees respecting the group's goals and the group's values. And as for self-control, it is when employees are making a self-assessment about their own work. Next, there's the financial perspective to control budget, cash flow, and economic value added. Of course, it is important that you understand how financial ratios can be used in your work, how you could improve these ratios. So when you understand them, well, you can control your employees in order to control the budgets, the cash flows, and the economic value added. Next, for the control, there's the customer defection. It is a performance assessment in which companies identify which customers are leaving and measure at the rate at which they are leaving. And controlling quality, you must focus on excellence, value, and conformance to specification if you want to have a great quality. So this is how you can keep control in business, in the management part of the business. And now, finally, for chapter 16, managing information in a global world. So first of all, there's a lot of raw data, and then this raw data, you change it into information, useful data that can influence people's choices and behavior. There's the first mover advantage, the strategic advantage first company have. So here is the characteristic of useful information. Information is useful when it is accurate, complete, relevant, and timely. Is your information have great value? If it does, well, is your information different from your competing firms, what they have? If yes, well, is it difficult to another business to have to gain your information? If yes, well, you have a sustained competitive advantage over all of the other competitors. If no, well, you have a temporary competitive advantage, and this is what you want to have in business: a sustained competitive advantage. you have a lot more of information than all of the others. And as I said in my video for chapter 16, Donald Trump campaign in 2016 used Facebook's data. It was outsourced with another company from London, but they used this information, and they were able to target the people they wanted. They were most avid to change their opinion. So they target these people, and this is why information is very, very useful if it is used correctly. The other costs associated with it, there's the acquisition cost, processing, storage, retrieval, communication. And then for the capturing the information, you can capture information barcodes, RFID tags, electronic scanners, optical character recognition. And then here you have all of the security problems associated with it. I don't think it is very related to management. However, I did take a look, and as you can see cookies, spam, password cracking, denial of service, web server attacks. These, of course, as we all know, they track your data or can steal them from you if they crack your password, or if there's a web server attack. Next, here are all of the for identification. It protects data. Authorization protects SSL. Two-factor you can use two-factor by using a VPN. Biometric can use EIS, and to protect from viruses you can use a firewall. Internally, you can use an executive information system, EIS, intranet corporate portal. I know that there's a lot of businesses that use can use Access or can use Oracle. This platform, I think it is used internationally. It is used with the same information system. So this is why a lot of businesses uses Oracle, because it is on the same language, the same international language, which helps a lot in business. For the external data services, there's the ADI and extranet. And for the knowledge, there's decision support system and expert system. So this wraps up for chapter 14, 15, and 16, and wraps up for my final project. I hope you like the videos, and I'll see you later.